Hello and welcome to Physics 121. I'm Ulysses DeWild. Your professor Bob Polis is currently fighting his nemesis atop the clock tower. In this course, one of the most powerful tools for succeeding is office hours. The office hours for PHY 121 are posted right here, and I want to emphasize the by appointment. My attitude is if you are willing to take the time to try to learn something on your own and it still isn't quite clicking, and if you're willing to reach out to me, I will make the time to work with you. I don't want you to feel shy about approaching me with any question with regard to this course. If you're willing to reach out and come to office hours, that means you're putting forth effort, and I want to be there to help you. So I realize you are taking courses in other sciences and your other commitments, whether they be job or coursework, extracurriculars, do take up time. So I want to be there to help you. So I want to emphasize that you are welcome to reach out to me to meet at some times other than the posted office hours. The office hours will take place over Zoom. If you want to speak with me, send me an email saying you want to meet for office hours. I'll respond with a room ID and password where we can talk. I just want to note that if I happen to be working with someone when you send that email, I might not be able to respond instantaneously, but I will keep an eye on my email throughout office hours, even when I am working with someone, so I should be able to respond relatively quickly. Now, if it is not scheduled office hours, I might be out doing something else. I won't be able to promise I respond to your email instantaneously, but I will be checking my email several times a day, every day of the week. The grades in this course are going to be determined by 3 semester exams, homework and quizzes, and a final exam. The 3 exams will be 15, 20, and 20% of the final grade. Homeworks and quizzes will be worth 20% of your final grade, and the final exam will be 25% of the final course grade. Of these 3 semester exams, the lowest of the 3 of them is going to count for 15% of the final course grade, and the lowest homework or quiz score in this course will be dropped and not counted entirely when I average out homeworks and quizzes. And the reason for that is sometimes life just happens. You might be very tired after spending all night working on a really tough lab report that's due or a giant paper. I realize physics is not always going to be front and center of your mind. Sometimes you might just get a text from your friend saying, hey, there's a fist fight breaking out in the art museum, let's go watch. I understand sometimes life happens, and that's why I drop the lowest homework or quiz score. I won't drop 2 items, so I drop the lowest homework or quiz, whichever one is the lowest of all those items at the end of the semester. The textbook we're going to use for this course is Giancoli Physics Principles with Application 7th edition. The required material is a valid access code that will give you access to Mastering Physics, where we do our homework, and some version of this textbook, either a physical copy or an electronic version. The access code sold in the bookstore automatically gives you access to both Mastering Physics and the electronic version of this textbook. If you would prefer to have a physical copy of the textbook that you could throw at someone, then there is an option in the bookstore that sells the Mastering Physics access code along with the e-text and a binder version of this textbook. The reason I went with the binder version rather than the hardcover version is I priced it out, and at the end of the day, the binder version with the buyback was a little bit cheaper than the hardcover version with the buyback. Homework is going to be on the Mastering Physics website in the syllabus, which is posted on Canvas. In addition, I also sent it out to all you guys a few days ago. The syllabus contains a fairly thorough guide for how to register with Mastering Physics. And if you purchase First Day Complete, you will automatically receive the access code that gives you Mastering Physics and the electronic version of this textbook. Mastering Physics is the same company that does Mastering Chemistry, so if you used Mastering Chemistry in Gen Chem, it's the same company, so you probably already have a Pearson account. In this course syllabus, I did not list any exam dates, and the reason for that is I realize you are taking courses in the hard sciences other than physics. You're taking analytical chemistry or physical chemistry and genetics and cell bio, and you're taking lots of hard courses. So I want you to do very well in physics. I also want you to do well in genetics and cell bio and analytical chemistry and all these other courses. So after I decide we covered enough material, I will ask you guys what are your upcoming exams in the form of a Google poll, and then I'll give a deadline, and based on the results, I will attempt to schedule an exam date that is convenient for as many people as possible. Because I have to consider 45 people, I can't make any promises that the exam will always be convenient for you in particular, but as much as possible, I want to try to help you out with an exam to give you sufficient time to study for physics and sufficient time to study for your other exams and major projects. Also, this slide is largely just copied from previous years. If you can't attend an exam for a legitimate reason, like a major illness or other emergency, you must inform me and provide appropriate documentation as much as possible, or after the fact, provide me with appropriate documentation. If you miss an exam for an illegitimate reason, like your car broke down or you forgot, then you may take a 0 for the exam and continue with the course, or you may request an incomplete and retake Physics 121 in a future semester. The university rules about incomplete grades still apply. I don't offer any makeup exams. And I just want to say, to avoid giving me headaches, please don't schedule plane flights or family vacations during the semester. These are not acceptable reasons to miss an exam. Now, this slide, as it's written, sounds kind of mean. As I said, in previous semesters was very strict with what is going on. I do want to work with compassion because we are in a pandemic right now and I realize the world is different. So I'm going to address that at the end of this video. The first several homeworks that are due for this course are posted right here. The very first homework, Intro to Mastering Physics, is essentially just a tutorial that introduces students to using the Mastering Physics website. The second homework, Physics Primer, focuses on some of the background mathematics that we're going to be using throughout this year. And then homework 3 will be Chapter 1, homework 4 will be Chapter 2, and so on throughout the year. The reason I'm assigning 4 homeworks right away to be due is I want to get everyone up and running with the Mastering Physics website. As I said before, if you used Mastering Chemistry in your Gen Chem course, then you do have a Pearson account. It's the same company that runs Mastering Physics, runs Mastering Chemistry, so you do have some experience using the software, most likely. And aside from these 2 introductory assignments, we'll have approximately 1 assignment from each chapter. The very first Intro to Mastering Physics homework is very easy. It does count for a homework grade, but it is a very easy homework. It's stuff like they'll give you a 4x4 grid and they'll ask you how many squares are in this grid. And they're just getting you used to working with the notation that you're going to work with in the Mastering Physics website. Homework is always going to be due at 11:59 p.m. of the due date, and each homework exercise will lose 10% credit per day late. And this does include weekends and holidays. So for example, if a homework assignment is 10 problems long and you do turn in every problem 1 day late, each problem loses 10% credit, so that total homework would be a 90% if done perfectly. However, if you do 9 of the problems on time perfectly, and then you do 1 problem perfectly 1 day late, only that 1 problem loses 10% credit. So you would get 10 out of 10 for the 9 problems submitted on time, and then 9 out of 10 for the 1 problem that was 1 day late. So 99% is still a really good grade on a homework. So if a homework does happen to have 1 or 2 problems that are submitted late, submit them right away to get as much credit as possible. Also, the estimated time to complete a homework assignment is the median time from the Mastering Physics website that aggregates lots of data from many universities. I'm not going to speak to anything as to how accurate these times are going to be for completing the assignment, though. Now, the assignments themselves will be scored where incorrect answers to a fill-in-the-blank lose 3% credit per attempt. These are basically numerical answers where you write the number in the line. You get 8 attempts max, and the numerical answers must be within 3% of the actual answer. An incorrect answer to a multiple choice question with n options will lose 100 over n minus 1% of the credit per attempt. So for example, if you have 5 options in a multiple choice, you basically take away one of those, that would be 4 options, and you would lose 1/4 is 25%. So you would get 75% credit on a multiple choice with 5 options if you guessed correctly on the second try, 50% on a 5-option multiple choice if you guessed correctly on the third try, and so on. If you did not yet have an access code to Mastering Physics, I'm going to say get it today. If you can't sign up for Mastering Physics by the end of today, Tuesday, for any reason whatsoever, please reach out to me. I want to know what's going on, and I want to find a way to get you up and running on Mastering Physics so you don't lose any credit on the first assignment from late penalties. As I said, the first assignment is very easy. And I want you to get a very good grade on this first assignment because that bumps your grade up, and that's something everyone likes. The deadlines for the homework assignments in general, I am willing to move around during the semester depending on where we are in the lecture. If you guys happen to have a really tough exam or project due, I don't mind accommodating that somewhat with homework deadlines. I need to talk with you, and I need you to communicate with me of what else is going on in your academic career. However, these first couple assignments, I have no intention on moving the deadline. So if you, for some reason, cannot sign up for Mastering Physics by the end of today for any reason, please reach out to me. And also, when you're working through the assignments, I would recommend don't click Request Answer. Ultimately, you do whatever you want, but clicking Request Answer is essentially saying I give up, I don't know how to solve this problem. You'll be given the solution, but you won't be able to receive any credit for that problem. So if you try a problem about 3 or 4 different ways and the answer still isn't working, if you want, you could just stop right there. You could reach out to me. We could speak during office hours, figure out how to work out the problem, and then you'll still get most of the credit for that problem. So if you are watching this video, congratulations, you have found the PHY 121 playlist on the Niagara University Physics YouTube channel. A PDF of all the lecture slides that you see in these videos is available on Canvas. It could be found under Files. And the lecture slides are available as PDFs, so unlike PowerPoint, they won't have the animations, but they are all the same lecture slides. The scheduled lecture times themselves will occur on Zoom at 10:30 and noon, respectively, for PHY 121A and B. You do not need to purchase any upgraded version of Zoom. The free version of this software will be completely fine for everything we do in all of my courses. As far as the meeting ID and password, I'm not going to post it here because this is an uploaded video to YouTube that is available to the general public, but the meeting ID and password were sent out in several emails and are also posted in the course syllabus. And the meetings, I will say, are also set up where you could sign in before me. So if you happen to arrive to a meeting and I'm not there yet, don't panic, I'll be along very shortly. The scheduled lecture times themselves that are conducted over Zoom are going to be devoted to answering questions from the YouTube videos that are uploaded. We could go more in depth on topics that we discuss in these lecture videos. We could discuss some background material, which could include the mathematics that we use, or in general, anything else that might be useful to you guys. Students are expected to be available during the lecture time that they sign up for. This is mainly because attendance at exams is mandatory, and since there are no makeup quizzes, obviously you probably want to show up to all the quizzes as well. Now, in general, I will not represent the lectures that are uploaded to YouTube except in some extreme circumstances. The lectures, everything I want to say for this course is already going to be up on YouTube. So the purpose of these lectures over Zoom are to go more in depth and clarify any material that I might not have explained super well on these videos. The example problems that I work through in the lectures are available on Canvas. Go to Files and you'll see a folder where you could see all the example problems that I will work through throughout this semester. Now, occasionally there will be quizzes given in lecture. These quizzes will take about 10 to 15 minutes to complete. They won't be too bad. They'll just to see that you're keeping up with the material and all that stuff. There are no makeup quizzes in this course. As mentioned earlier, I will drop the lowest homework or quiz score at the end of the semester. And I'm also going to tell you guys that I will not give any pop quizzes in this course. Any quizzes will be announced via email at least 2 days ahead of time that you might see. So you won't be surprised by pop quizzes. So what can we say about these guys? Well, unless I otherwise announce it, you do not need to bring any equipment to lab. You don't need to bring your lab coats or your goggles. Just bring yourself to physics lab. As per university policy, if you are in an in-person lab, you must be wearing your face mask properly, which means it covers both your nose and your mouth. And as with the other labs and rooms in the building, follow the paths that are marked on the floor, stand at the marked positions near the lab tables, and so on. Now, for this week, there are going to be no labs. We'll begin labs next week, week 2 of lecture, after we have the opportunity to learn some physics in lecture. And the way the labs are going to work is I'm going to divide each lab section Tuesday afternoon, 123 LA, Tuesday evening, 123 LB, and Thursday afternoon, 123 LC. I'm going to divide each of those sections into 2 groups. The people in one group will work through an in-person lab in Galsano 104, and the people in the other group will work through a simulation of a physics lab and then fill out an accompanying worksheet. And then the following week, the group that worked on the simulation and worksheet will perform a lab in Galsano 104, and the group that had previously worked on the in-person lab in Galsano 104 will be doing the simulation and worksheet. The lab simulation worksheets will count as the lab for that week. Now, if you have any significant concern about performing your lab in person, please reach out to me no later than Thursday of this week, and we could discuss some alternate accommodations to be made. The way the in-person labs are going to work, you will work with up to one other person on a lab in Galsano 104. You will both turn in one lab report with your names on it, and you will both get the same grade for that lab report for the week. And you're going to turn in that lab report before you leave lab that day, so you don't have to take anything home with you. Now, you do not necessarily need to have the same lab partner from one lab to the next. And if we happen to have an odd number of students in the lab, then there may be one person that needs to work on the lab on their own. If you have any question in lab at all, just raise your hand and I will address you rather than coming up to me to ask. And if you need to leave the lab to use the restroom or for any reason at all, just walk directly to the door without talking and take the path to the door that has you pass as few people as possible. The lab simulations and worksheets that accompany those simulations will be sent out via email on Tuesday before the first lab for everyone that has to do a simulation that week. The worksheet that accompanies the lab simulation will be due at 11:59 p.m. Friday that same week it is sent out. Now, you do not necessarily need to work on the lab simulation at the designated time slot for your lab, but that is 3 hours of the week you have free and should be some time open where you can if you want to. But ultimately, I allow you to choose how you spend your time. I will just say don't be late with submitting your worksheet. Worksheets are going to be uploaded to Canvas, and that's how you will submit them. So to upload a worksheet on Canvas, in the 123L course on Canvas, click on Assignments, choose the lab that you want to submit, and then click Submit Assignment on the upper right. Then you click Browse, find, and attach the completed document on your computer, and click Submit Assignment, and you're done. And when the assignment is submitted, it will be timestamped so I could see that it was uploaded on time. Basically, this is very similar to attaching a document in an email. Now, worksheets that are submitted late will receive a 10% penalty per day late, and this does include weekends and holidays, so Saturday, Sunday will count towards that 10% penalty if they happen to be submitted late. Most importantly, I want to say that I want this course to be a positive experience for you. The policies I outline in these slides, I can be fluid with. I have some ability to be flexible. If you have any question for why I have the course conducted in a certain way, a concern, you think I'm doing something wrong, if you have an idea of how I can improve that course, please speak up to me. I will absolutely be happy to welcome any constructive criticism. Even if you don't have an idea of how I can improve something, just knowing that something isn't quite working for you could be the first step towards addressing that problem. If you are shy and don't want to speak to me directly, you could always just type up an anonymous note, leave it in my mailbox. It's in the copy room on the second floor of Galsano. And any ideas, any feedback on how this course is run, I will take very seriously. Now, I also want to say that I can't read your mind. I want to see you at your best. If there is anything in life that is going on that is affecting your ability to be at your best, whether it's academically with my course or some other courses, something going on in your personal life, if you have financial concerns, you're worried about rent or finding an apartment or a place to live, concerns about health of you or a loved one, you are welcome to reach out to me. I cannot fix everything, but I may be able to do something to help, possibly moving some deadlines around that could give you time if you need to, for example, find a place to live if you have a lease expiring and you're nervous about that. Now, if you reach out to me with a concern, I don't expect you to tell me exactly what's going on. You are welcome to be as specific or as vague as you are comfortable with. You could leave it completely general and just say, I have some distractions going on right now, and I would really be helped if I could have a little extra time for this homework assignment, and I usually will be able to help you out. Now, also, I want to say you're not alone in your academic career. I want to see you succeed. I have some ability to be flexible in this course, but as I mentioned above, I can't read your mind, so I do want you to interact so that I can help you to the extent possible to let you be the best that you can be. So what do you think this semester is going to be like? I realize you are taking a lot of courses in the hard sciences. You have analytical chem and P-chem and genetics and histology and A&P. Does your course curriculum sometimes feel like this? Well, I want to say that you are taking a lot of courses. I realize that, and it is possible that you will be stressed, and it might even be possible that I have something to do with that. At times, you might feel overwhelmed in your academic career, and if you do, I want to say that is completely normal. So don't feel like you don't belong here. If you're in this course, I want to say you belong, and we will work through this and get you through this course. Everyone in the department, in biology and chemistry department, is here to help you succeed. We are cheering for you, and interact with us. We are resources at your disposal to help you get to where you want to go in life and have a very good quality of life and thrive and do great things with the world and leave the world a better place than what you found it in. More specifically with regard to my course, I suggested the Cartoon Guide to Physics as a recommended book in the bookstore. I don't even want to go that far. I'll just say a somewhat suggested book. The Cartoon Guide to Physics is less rigorous than what you would see in the Giancoli textbook. It will take about an entire chapter of Giancoli's book and condense it to 4 pages of a comic book. The Cartoon Guide to Physics does a pretty good job of giving you a feel for what the big picture of what we're talking about is without getting bogged down by details or getting lost in the details. I also want to say that there are equations written in the Cartoon Guide to Physics. Whenever you do a homework or an exam, you should be using the equations from my lectures or from Giancoli. I would recommend not using the equations in the Cartoon Guide to Physics. The reason I say that is it's not that the equations in the Cartoon Guide to Physics are wrong. I just feel in some places they're incomplete. The author might want to emphasize a certain aspect of what's going on in a scenario, so the author might omit a couple terms in an equation that in the Giancoli and in my notes we would not omit for completeness. But the Cartoon Guide to Physics is fairly cheap, and if you feel like you kind of are beginning to fall behind, this could be a good resource to help you see the big picture of what's going on. So, what do I expect in this course? In this course, we are going to see math and use it a lot. Now, if you haven't used math in a while, that is just fine. If you want any help refreshing yourself, just feel free to reach out to me and we could talk and see what needs to be done. I am assuming that coming into this course, you have seen systems of equations, trigonometry, working with exponents and logarithms before. If your knowledge of these topics is somewhat dusty, don't worry, we will spend some time introducing them and working with them in example problems on the YouTube lectures before you have to use them in homework. So you will see me demonstrate them. And based on the material that I have to get through in this course, you could expect us to move roughly at a rate of about 1 chapter per week, give or take. We will be having some exams during lecture time, so that will cut into some of the weeks of the semester. But there is a certain amount of material we do need to work through. So we will go through a little less than 1 chapter per week. Now, I thought this quote was really neat. If you think about what is physics, if I say physics is the study of the natural world, the rules by which the natural world operates, that's a very broad statement. Now, I cannot prove this, but I think that the natural world follows certain rules, and those rules are logical. I don't think the natural world would allow for something illogical to occur. I don't think the natural world could allow for a paradox. It might appear that I discover a paradox if I do some crazy experiment, but I think ultimately what that would indicate is either I do not know what is going on, like there are some other rules by which nature operates that I are undiscovered, and but those rules are important, or it might be that I am not taking into account all the known physics, all the known rules of the world properly. Basically, I'm doing something wrong. Or it might be that the natural world is inherently illogical, but I don't like that idea. So, what is this course going to be like? Well, it is very natural, as I said, to make a mistake, to stumble. And if you do, everyone in the department is here to help you and to give you encouragement. We all are cheering for you. We want you to succeed. And if you make a mistake, that's very normal. Don't feel bad about it. If you are in this course, it's because you belong here. And making mistakes on homework, it's okay. You're practicing for the exam. So I'm going to say work hard, have a good attitude. If you get overwhelmed, don't be afraid to step away, clear your mind, come back to it. I am a resource at your disposal to help you get through this course. Don't be a stranger to me. And smile and have fun with it because we are investigating the world around us. So I'm going to conclude by saying that at the end of the day, the best way to see do you understand the material for this course, in my opinion, is to attempt all the problems in the back of the chapter for each chapter of the book. Now, the problems in the back of the chapter are ranked difficulty level 1, 2, and 3, where 1 is the easiest and 3 is the most difficult. At the beginning, I would say do all the level 1 problems. These problems are not out to trick you. They're just a very basic, here is a scenario, apply this physical principle, and get some result. The level 2 problems might begin to become a bit more hidden in what you're supposed to do, or the scenarios might get a little more interesting. And I would say if you can do all the level 1 problems and all the level 2 problems in the back of each chapter, you're going to be in a very good position for taking the exams. Now, the level 2 problems will be comparable to something that you may see on the exam. I won't give all level 2 comparable problems on the exam, but you will see them here and there. And I would recommend start working through example problems early. That way you're not cramming at the end of the semester, right before each exam. And when you really master the material, you'll realize that you can explain what is going on with these concepts in a very simple, natural, and elegant way. Ultimately, physics is not really about making things really complicated, and it's not really about making things really simple either. It's about making things natural, where you say, this is the way the world works, and I can't really imagine any other way that the world could possibly work and still make sense. So at the end of the day, if you study the material and you understand it in a profound way, you should be able to explain the material very simply in about 2 or 3 sentences in total. So I'm just going to end the video here. I'll pause for a moment to let that sink in, and then I'll see you in the next video.